Man, I'd rather make love to the crypt keeper herself than have to look at how ugly some of these lineups are about to get. Yo, it's week 7. Dilly dilly, y'all. Let's get into it.
Holy shit.
What's going on, Pirates? What's good? What's good? Welcome back to another Waiver Wire episode, Week 7 edition here on the Rumboyz Fans Network. Cheers to me. Cheers to you, all the Rumboyz girls. What to do? I need caffeine. That's what this is. That's what you guys are witnessing right now is a serious caffeine overtake, like a serious caffeine haul is what's about to go down. I apologize for like the green screen like being like all like staticky and shit. All right. Woo! Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you by monkeyknifefight.com and the Monkey Knife Fight app. Be sure to download the Monkey Knife Fight app. And we're going to match you on your very first deposit all the way up to $100. That's right. Your very first deposit all the way up to $100 whenever you join utilizing promo code Rumboyz. Promo code Rumboyz in all caps whenever you hop on over to the Monkey Knife Fight app or monkeyknifefight.com for your daily fantasy prop needs. We over here hitting like crazy. I think like out of the 10 games that went on during the Sunday slate, we hit like 8 touchdown dances or some shit like that. It was crazy. It was crazy. Shout out to the homie Pat. Shout out to the homie Drop the Mic FF. The show is also brought to you by the SportsMe app. We also have daily fantasy cash games happening over on the SportsMe app. Get on over to the SportsMe app. If you guys want to win cash, your take is your buy-in. Get on over there to the SportsMe app. If you have a fantasy football question, you can also ask me a fantasy football question. I'll reply video to video. If you want to debate me on any topic underneath the damn sun, go ahead, make the topic, and I'll debate you on it. And we can go back and forth, video to video. Let's get into the show, ladies and gentlemen. Link is in the description for the SportsMe app. Alrighty, we are into week 7. Time to talk about some fantasy football waiver wire ads for week 7 here in the 2021 year. First up is Dimitry Felton. Like, now, here's what I have to say about Dimitry Felton, okay? And the whole debate between, do you roster Felton? Do you roster D'Ernest Johnson, okay? And to me, the answer is pretty much clear-cut. I'm going to take the hybrid guy in Felton. I am going to, look, Felton was out there 20% of the snaps last week. He was targeted twice, caught both of those 14 yards. He's been utilized mostly as a receiver. Excuse me. But with that being said, and with that being stated, played a season high 12 snaps on offense and returned 2 punts for 29 yards. If your league gives you a little bit of extra points for that, that's all the goodies that you're going to want. Chubb probably not going to play. Like, if you had to ask me right now, that is Nick Chubb playing right now? Nah. He's probably not going to fucking play, okay? Dimitry Felton sitting at 14% rostered. They take on Denver, okay? So it's not exactly the same defenses that they were taking on, you know, with the Chargers and so on and so forth. The Cardinals, they had to play KC week 1. This Cleveland Browns team has had an up and down schedule. I'm going to take Dimitry Felton over D'Ernest Johnson. Now, here's what I'll say about D'Ernest Johnson, okay? Maybe they're trying to build like a just, you know, for the week, you know, type of vibe between Johnson and Felton, to where it could be a Chubb Hunt 2.0. I don't really think so, because neither of these guys are that talented. I mean, this dude had a stint with the AAF. He didn't really, you know, flash too heavily in his combine. He's not exactly one of the most explosive backs. 17% rostered. I don't know why we're rostering Dearness more than Felton when Felton's been already this season seeing more of the play. And I get that Felton, they kind of have converted him, from like this he's like this running back wide receiver who's like mostly playing wide receiver. I just feel like you gotta go with Felton. The film has shown me personally that Felton's the guy in between these two. So yeah, I mean, Dimitry Felton, Dearness Johnson, both sitting around that kind of that same roster ship. Both have to take on the Broncos. It's gonna be ugly. Like it's gonna your rosters this week are going to get ugly. I assure you. I promise you. We have 6 teams, 6 freaking teams on bye this week. Um, so definitely something that we need to be worried about. We need to be lurking. We need to be, monitoring and paying attention. Um, a good thing about this is, from a fantasy standpoint, the other guy that you're going to be playing is more than likely going to have his Bills out, his Cowboys out, his Vikings out, his Steelers out, his Chargers and his Jags out, just like you. Okay. So his roster is probably going to look just as fucked up as yours. Let's just be honest with each other. Close out the running backs. We have JD McKissick. I'll have some more running backs in the honorable mention section of this video at the end. But JD McKissick of the Washington football team going up against the Green Bay Packers. Okay. The Packers of Green Bay, 50% rostership right now. Look, we don't really know what's happening with Antonio Gibson's shin injury. And I don't think that you're going to go out there and try and trot him out there, Sunday morning up against this Packers team. I definitely think the Packers are heavy favorites in this one. The Packers are heavy favorites in this one. As the spread right now is at 9.5. Go ahead and go with McKissick. Washington probably does not risk Gibson right now. They'll be having a bye coming up soon. They probably, just give Gibson some load management. By the way, Broncos, Browns, Thursday night football. But yeah, J.D. McKissick of the football team, 53% roster. I'm on the roster right now. And we'll see how the rest of the season works between, him and Gibson. Gibson's kind of playing in his own head right now. So there's that. Next up, we have Rashod Bateman. We're going to get into our wide receivers right now. Here on our Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Week 7 episode. Rashod Bateman, who you guys see here on the cover. I have been high on them all season. You guys remember when Matt Harmon put out his reception perception route trees over during the offseason? And notice how every middle of the field dominant route Bateman ran, and he ran those out the slot. This is the receiver that you needed to raise Mark Andrews to the upper echelon. This is the receiver that you needed to where now you can have someone across the field to be able to catch, a lot of those passes across the middle that Lamar loves and favors so heavily and so much. Okay, with his tight ends, with his slot receivers. Sammy Watkins is probably gonna miss. Okay, gonna miss some time. Hollywood and Bateman are going to be Lamar's go-tos, open up to him with Bateman on the field. It's in him and his just size and athleticism coming out the slot, catching routes across the middle. It's going to now open it up for Andrews just that much more. So really, really high on Rashod Bateman. I think that everyone should get out there and roster Bateman. He played 65% of the snaps this past weekend against the Chargers. He was 4 of 6 on his targets for 29 yards. I mean, I get it. Okay, the yards wasn't there, but I mean, at least this guy is getting worked in. At least he's getting worked into the offense. 65% of the snaps. They are going to get the ball to him right now. Right now is the time to go and get Rashod Bateman because this guy is probably going to be at 70% rostership once the Baltimore Ravens get all said and done, win or lose against Cincinnati this week. They're going up against the Bengals. It's a divisional matchup. Rashod Bateman to the moon, especially if you have Watkins out, Hollywood Brown is going to be drawing the best of the best coverage from that Bengals defense. Rashod Bateman should get out there and feast a Roni on him like it's fucking Thanksgiving. Let's go. Hey, we're in that fall. We're in the fall, getting close, getting close. I had to kind of drop that. Next up, we have Darnell Mooney. Now, this one kind of breaks my rule because I usually, on this episode, you have to be less than 60% rostership in order for me to bring you up. He's just right there at that 61%. But I feel like we need to bring up Darnell Mooney to the Mooney because he's really going to the Mooney. You're starting to kind of see where Fields is just kind of acclimating, kind of, sort of. I mean, Nagy is still, and on the hot seat. The Bears are still the Bears this season. They're going up against the Bucks. Don't expect the Bears to beat the Bucks, but I expect Mooney to feast, and I expect Mooney to have a big game. And also, I mean, it looks like Allen Robinson's starting to get open a little bit. They just now need to fucking throw him the ball. But I like Darnell Mooney, 61% rostership. If he's available in your league, you are jumping on that. Jump on it. Jump on it. Jump on it. You guys need to go and get Mooney. He saw 8 targets last week. He caught 5 of them, 45 yards and a touchdown for the Bears. You guys got to go get him, and also for your fantasy teams. Let's go. Let's go. Next up at number 6, we have Marquez Callaway. Oh, and the Saints go marching in. Are the Saints going to be marched again this week up against the Seahawks? The Geno Smith-led Seahawks. Seahawks did not look too terrible against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They took the Steelers all the way down to the wire to the point that it was OT and made me sweat on a 10-game parlay. 44% rostership for Marquez Callaway. Remember how we mentioned him last week and I was telling you guys to go and get him? Well, Callaway had a jump from last week. So clearly a couple of you guys and chose to seek out Callaway last week during his bye week. Try to catch a couple people sleeping behind the wheel. Sit at 40% rostership. See if you guys can get him this week up against Seattle. Look, if Deontay Harris isn't gonna be a go because he tweaked his hamstring last week, if Deontay Harris is not gonna be a go, okay, it looks like Traquan's not coming back this week is from what I'm hearing. He may or may not. I don't believe that he is. It may be a couple more weeks. They're not activating Michael Thomas yet. And by the time you finally probably get to use Michael Thomas, it may be like fucking week like 13 or some shit. Marquez Callaway all the way this week against Seattle, and then kind of play it from there. If Harris comes back into the fold, Juwan Johnson probably a guy that goes on like watch list or whatever the fuck, like, right? Like, but and it also depends on how heavy Thomas gets utilized once he comes back. Just there's a whole lot going into this Saints offense. Callaway is probably the only guy that you could trust, and a guy that you should roster. Let's see who else we got next here on our list. Quez Watkins of the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Raiders this week. He is 7% owned, or 7% rostered. I apologize. 7% rostered right now. Starting in Supercenter leagues. Look, with Big Daddy Ertz out of town, my Ertzy heart, my achy breaky heart, with Zach Ertz out of town now with the Arizona Cardinals, you need to go ahead and take a look at Quez Watkins because targets have to go somewhere. We have to ask ourselves with Dallas Goedert, is he now automatically going to get every single target that went to Ertz, like that went Ertz's way? Or is it going to be Watkins who, is outpacing and out-snapping and just outplaying Rager at any given moment? Are we going to see a lot more 3 receiver sets in that? Now makes Rager kind of somewhat fantasy relevant. Zach Ertz leaving opens up a lot. And I think it really, really opens a lot for Quez Watkins. He played 70% of the snaps last week against Tampa. The week before that, 82% against the Carolina Panthers. He caught 3 balls on 5 targets. For 44 yards. So I mean, not too bad, nothing too crazy. I just want to see this kid get in the end zone. And I feel like that'll completely sell me. He hasn't found the end zone yet this year. But I think that's going to completely sell me as you've elevated past Rager, and Rager may end up being the 3 on that team. But that's a different conversation for a different day, right? Oh, you probably could play that Raiders defense against Philly in that scenario. Just saying. Max Crosby is a freaking madman. Just saying. Next up, it's the people's choice. It's the people's choice. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now look, OBJ went out the game again. Okay. If OBJ remains out, like OBJ and the Browns just need to break up. And Donovan Peoples-Jones needs to become the guy. He needs to become a thing. 7% rostered. Okay. 7% rostered. He had 29.10 fantasy points this week. 101 yards receiving. He was 5 for 4 on target reception ratio. 2 TDs. I think that we're seeing to where Cleveland is ready to move on from Odell. Cleveland has, in my mind, they never got Odell truly worked into this offense, worked into the building damn near. Okay. It's the people's choice, ladies and gentlemen. Ugh. Elbow drops. Let's go. Let's go. I like the people's choice. It kind of reminds me of the old school rock shit. That's why I call Dom the people's choice a people's choice. Mo, AlieCox. At tight end. Let's get into the tight ends. Let's talk some tight ends. Going up against the 49ers. 9% roster. Look, this guy just jumps out the gym. He has toe drag swag. Freaking twinkle toes. Like just crazy, just out the ass talent with Mo AlieCox. Plus he's a VCU Ram. Hey, you step foot in my state, you all good. 9.8 fantasy points last year. Played 50 or last week. I'm sorry. Played 50% of the snaps. Caught one of his 3 receptions, and that was for a touchdown. Mo AlieCox just has this crazy athletic ability because he played power forward to box out guys and go and get the ball at the highest point. He treats each reception like he's rebounding. And you gotta love that, okay? Now I get it. I mean, there's been some games here and there, Tennessee, the Rams where it's like, okay, you're out there, 40+% of the time and you ain't do shit, but I think that this team's tight end. I think this team should start focusing and keying in on Mo AlieCox a little bit more. If you need a tight end for the week, or you need an extra flex, I mean, I'm sure some of you guys are going to be running 12 personnel in your fantasy football lineups. Like straight up, I'm gonna be real with you. Some of you guys, there's gonna be a couple of lineups that are gonna have 12 personnel involved, and I ain't even hating on it. And the scoring is probably going to be at an all-time low this week, or there's going to be massive blowouts, or it's going to be crazy. I know it sounds ugly, but maybe Mo AlieCox is a guy, that you make work for you. Ricky Seals-Jones. Who? Ricky Seals-Jones. It's not the same as doing it with the Mac Jones. I'm going to be honest. He did find the end zone in week 6. He's 40% rostered. Again, going up against the Packers Sunday morning. At 15 fantasy points. And that TD caught 6 of 4 or caught 4 of 6 for 58 yards. As long as Logan Thomas is out, Washington has an emphasis on the tight end. Washington has an emphasis on getting the tight end ball. All the receivers for Washington are fucking banged up. Everyone's banged up for Washington. Okay? Start Ricky Seals-Jones. Go get you some Ricky Seals-Jones. And also play Ricky Seals-Jones in DFS matchups. Why don't you? Play Ricky Seals-Jones in DFS matchups. Why don't you? Yeah. Oh, there. I forgot to put his banner up while talking about him. There he is against the Packers. 40% owned. My apologies. Doing this all, manually. And let's get into our streaming QB of the week. I didn't want to, a lot of people are playing in 2 QB leagues nowadays. So I didn't want to put too much of a point of emphasis on quarterbacks. But Teddy Bridgewater going up against the Browns. A lot of Browns and Washington and Packers talking. Broncos talk here in this waiver wire. But I not sure if he's going to start. But I mean, if he does start, he might be able to go off. Like he'd probably go off. If you just need a guy to stream, he's rostered in 27% of leagues. So I mean, I felt like it was nice to toss in. I mean, he's been having some good football from a fantasy perspective. His worst game was against Baltimore, where he had a 9-point outing. But I mean, other than that, he's been giving you. I mean, well, and then the Jets with the 15.15 outing. But other than that, I mean, out of four out of 6 games, he's gone out there and gave you 25 plus points in fantasy. So I don't mind having him as a QB2. If y'all need to go out there and make that happen. Let's talk about streaming defenses. The Patriots versus the Jets. Goddamn Jets. That's all that we need that needs to be said. They're sitting at 45% roster. You need a defensive stream this week. You're going to play the Patriots. My top 3 are Patriots, the Raiders, and the Packers. That could be the defenses I recommend you guys stream. Honorable mentions for this show: Chris Evans, Malcolm Brown, Devontae Freeman, Ramondre Stevenson, all for the running back position. Okay. With the Chris Evans, I'm just mentioning, in case anything ever happens again to Mixon. I know that Mixon looked great this week, but Evans caught a TD. And I think that opens up the door to where, granted, P. Ryan is there, and he's supposed to be the 2. But I think that Evans gets worked in case anything ever happens to Mixon. So if you're Mixon, if you have Mixon on your roster, maybe you go after Evans, and you have him stashed away if someone else already has P. Ryan or whatever the case may be. Malcolm Brown, with that situation, we have no fucking idea what's going on with Myles Gaskin. So, and you don't want to drop Myles Gaskin. You don't want to drop. We'll get into the drops, but yeah. Ramondre Stevenson, he's going the hell off. Devontae Freeman just kind of, we'll see what happens there. As long as you're not giving him 22 touches a game, he'll be fine. Dante Pettis, everyone's injured in New York. Everyone's injured. If Tony is going to be done for a little while, fire up Dante Pettis because no one gives a damn about Darius Slayton, and yeah, it's just all bad in New York. Nico Collins should be coming off of IR. Hopefully, he steps into the 2 to complement Brandon Cooks. Deontay Harris to give Callaway some help. It's at least until Thomas comes back in the fold. If Thomas ever comes back into the fold for this team, and if Harris is going to play healthy. As for drops, I would like to drop absolutely nobody. You are not dropping anyone this week. There are no one that we are hardcore just just straight dropping. You are not. Nobody that we're just going to hardcore drop this week. If you got them on your roster, if you got guys on a bye week, make sure you guys are maneuvering and making moves properly. Look out for people to drop valuable pieces because they start scrambling. They start wondering, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? Look for people to start dropping valuable pieces that you can roster and that you can start satching away. Because this week 7, it's going to happen. There's always that one guy that's like, oh, well, I'm going to drop Allen Robinson now. They drop fucking Allen Robinson. And yes, it's now you got Allen Robinson for the free. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Week 7. Don't forget to download the SportsMe app. Link is in the description. If you got any questions, drop them in the comments or hit me up on the SportsMe app, and I'll get them taken care of for you, or even on the Twitters. I'll get them taken care of for you. Don't forget to download the Monkey Knife Fight app and utilize promo code Rumboyz in all caps to get a 100% match on your very first deposit up to $100. Cheers to me. Cheers to you. All the Rumboyz and girls, what it do. Dilly dilly, y'all. Appreciate you.